Welcome to the Biz and Mayhem podcast, where we talk about the mayhem in our lives and how to get ahead in business and your career. This is Chris Batchelor, and I'm here with my co-host, Tara Parker. Let's get started. All right, well, welcome to another episode of the Biz and Mayhem podcast. This is season 2, episode 31, believe it or not, and I'm here with my co-host, Tara Parker. My name is Chris Batchelor, and how are you doing, Tara?
Oh, I'm good. I have my wine. I've got you. We've got a lot of conversation ahead of us. I'm great.
We have a ton of conversation ahead of us. Oh my gosh. It's
so much.
Always when we're doing the show notes, it's like, do we really need all this stuff? We're going to be here forever tonight. So
it's quite the little debacle between the two of us. We need that. No, we don't. Yes, we do.
Yeah. And the world has moved on from COVID. Finally, no masks.
I feel like it's a lingering pain in the ass.
If it's politically, if it's politically motivating, then it's still around, right?
It's politically motivating, that's for sure. It's never going to stop. I think Fauci is, where's he at now in his stance? Are we triple masking? Or
I don't know.
How
I
many
think we're
masks are we supposed to
quadruple
wear?
masking.
And yet some places are saying don't wear a mask at all, but Fauci's saying wear multiple. I don't understand this man. Is he bored? What's going on here?
I don't know. I saw that there was a bobblehead that somebody made of him.
Do you see the super action hero in a box they're trying to make? It's like,
no.
Please. That should have been our lead news story.
Yeah.
Because there's a box and it's got him in his little white coat, and I don't know if he's a bobblehead or what it is, but it's like, it looks like a super action hero. It's like, no, just no.
Now we're in that like weird time where it's like, do you wear a mask? Do you not wear a mask? I mean, I know at work we don't have to wear a mask anymore. They just stopped that this week. But now you go into stores and it's like, okay, they want you. I mean, Costco is still having everybody wear a mask. You can't get into Costco without a mask. Yeah.
Oh, I can't go into Costco.
Seems like every place else is, kind of, if you want to, then you can wear a mask.
Well, I've noticed that some of the places that were really pressing the issue before or are no longer pressing it. Some places that didn't press the issue before still are not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's how it should be. Quite honestly, I'm not a mask proponent. I'm not a big believer in it.
But it should be up to you, right? I mean, personal opinion.
It should be. And if I was a business owner and if I wanted to put the safety of my people first, and I felt like that was represented by enforcing a mask, realizing that the downside of that is I'm going to lose customers, then that's what I'm going to do. So I think the businesses should have that opportunity.
Right.
But again, there is a loss that goes with that. And that's going to be some of the conversation for later on today is at what point in time do businesses have a liability? At what point in time do they take accountability for the decisions they make? And when does society step off and let a business just be a business?
Yeah, well, we will certainly dive into that a little bit later on.
Absolutely.
But for now, should we dive into the news?
Of course.
This is the newsroom. All right. Well, first here up on the newsroom, we have, let's see, what do we have?
We have
Colin.
Colin?
Right? Kaepernick?
It's Colin.
Colin.
But Colin is more appropriate. At least in my opinion, it's just an opinion. Yeah, so I found this, I think it was on Facebook, I'd seen this, and it was off the Daily Wire. So if you're a big Daily Wire Ben Shapiro fan, go to that site, you know how to find it. Anyway, so there's this white privilege debate back at the NFL. Colin Kaepernick hasn't played a game since 2016. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I mean, he basically started the whole kneeling thing, right?
He did,
and then NFL, attendance went way down. This is way before COVID, and people were angry because they took it as a disrespect to the national, to the flag.
The anthem, the flag.
To the anthem and the
patriotism,
flag. Right. And they saw it more of a diss on America than it was for what he was trying to express it for, which was, for African-American rights and things like that.
Yeah, so, anti-racism.
Anti-racism is a good way to put it, yeah.
So to be clear, he has a white parent and a black parent.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's adopted, right?
I don't know.
I think he was adopted.
That's the first I've heard of that.
I'm pretty sure he's adopted. Grew up in a fairly affluent family, and so, but good on him for bringing awareness to the issue. But a lot of people, and myself included, believe that that's really not the right avenue for doing it.
Right.
And the thing that always bothered me was you never really saw him off the field doing these activist type things. It was really just when the camera was on him in the spotlight, so where it was convenient. Where it was convenient at the start of the game. And so, how much are they really doing it just for fame, and how much are they
Right.
really doing it because they believe in the cause?
So now he's really ticked off, or people are. I don't know how he feels about it, but other black NFL players are really ticked off because Tim Tebow, who was the big Christian football player from years ago, he hasn't played a game since 2012.
Right.
So almost a decade.
Yeah.
He just signed, or he's going to sign this week with the Jacksonville Panthers.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we've got some Twitter Nation is all on fire from some NFL players, some that are previous actually,
Right.
stating this is wrong.
Yeah.
That if you're going to give a 1 year, it's a 1 year contract to anybody. You've got to, you got to recognize the black players. So they're calling white privilege. Now, what's interesting, and this kind of leads into the second story, is were you aware that in 2016, when Kaepernick was no longer going to play after 2016, did you know he was offered a 1 year extension to his contract with the 49ers?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
No.
and
Yeah.
this is the same guy who turned around and sued the NFL for whatever it's some sort of infraction of his rights, or I can't play anymore because I'm a kneeler, whatever the hell
Right.
it was. So he's offered the 1 year contract with his team, only to turn around and say no, thank you, and then sue the NFL
Yeah.
because he can't play anymore. And it's like, well,
Yeah,
wait,
I mean, is that fabricating being a victim there? I think.
right. So it's like, I feel like you're
Yeah.
literally you're playing NFL football. So clearly oppression is not your problem.
Right.
And I get he's trying to speak for the voices that can't be heard. But man, when you turn down a contract where your platform started from,
Mm-hmm.
only to turn around and sue, so that's like biting the hand that feeds you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you're hard to take seriously. Meanwhile, Tim Tebow has remained constant. He's remained consistent.
Mm-hmm.
He has been forever about his religion. And after 10 years almost, he's coming back to the field.
Yeah.
And people are pissed about this. It's like, I don't get you. I don't get it. And so they're like, but we're happy for him. We're on Twitter and we're pissed that you won't give Kaepernick the chance, but we're happy you gave Tebow the chance, but it ain't right.
Yeah.
How do those things go in the same paragraph? How do they?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I think our listeners need to tell us what they think. I mean,
Right.
this is. We obviously have our opinions here, but what do you think? I mean, is this racism or not? I think that's what this comes down to.
Yeah, it's what they're
is
trying
this
to
is this
insinuate.
pulling the race card? Is this being a victim? A false victim? Or is it really truly racism? And I don't know. I have a hard time believing it's truly racism here. I think Tim Tebow's actually a bigger name than Kaepernick is. And I think he pulls in more fans. And I think when it comes to the NFL, it's a business. And the more butts you can put in seats, the more tickets you're going to sell, the more money you're going to make.
The business model says that you get a person in the seat, you get revenue.
Right. And
That's how that works.
and
Why Kaepernick doesn't seem to get that.
Yeah, and that has nothing to do with race. And Kaepernick, actually reduced the number of people going to games, and so that's counterproductive to what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, and this is the guy who had a whole tryout thing just for him, did he not, a few years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they specifically designed a day for him to have all the scouts come, and nobody wanted him still.
Yeah.
Or he didn't, or maybe he turned down a deal again. I don't know. So continuing on with that note.
So you have another article here.
So I thought it was fun to tie this stuff in. I'm a full circle person. You've known me long enough to know that's how I operate mentally. And so if you Kaepernick, I don't know how you say his name. I try to pay attention. Anyway, he is producing a book. He has edited it and it's going into publish. And I can't remember when it's going to drop, but it's a book of essays. It's a manuscript.
Right.
Cool. Well, it's a manuscript to abolish the police and close all the prisons. And it's featuring one of the big essays in it is by a cop killer who recently made the news. People are trying to get this convicted cop killer. He's convicted. He's serving time. They're trying to get him out now because of the whole BLM and We Hate Cops movement. And this guy wrote this essay. So what this book is about is let's get rid of cops. Let's get rid of prisons because they're all racist. Everything about them is racist, and so we need to get rid of them. And Kaepernick is leading this project.
So here's what I don't get. Okay, let's just live in this fantasy world for a second where we just abolish the police and get rid of all the prisons.
Let me ride my unicorn in. Hold on.
Yeah. We need the coconuts from
we
Monty
need
Python.
sound effects.
Yeah. So let's say we do that, right?
Right.
What's going to happen? You're obviously going to have unchecked crime, right?
God,
When
can
you
you
have-
imagine?
When you have unchecked crime, who's going to take care of the criminals?
Right.
And if you don't have the police to come and take them away and bring them out of society, then what you get is vigilante justice, right? And my guess is that vigilante justice is going to be a tad more racist than the police that we have now. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know about racist, but definitely intentional.
It's going to be a lot less forgiving. Let's just say that. It's like you're going to
Yeah.
get shot dead for something that you would have just gone to jail for before. So
Yeah.
I don't think that that's going to end well for anybody.
No, I don't think so
Anybody. I
either.
think there's going to be. I mean,
Well, the movie V is a really great representation of how vigilante justice works, right?
Right.
You get one guy that gets disgruntled. He's figured out the government. He knows it's all a sham. And all he does is he just starts setting the scene and just sets up the dominoes and eventually.
But in this
tips it
case, you
over.
take the government out of it, right? There is no government to control the people, right? And
Well, they're trying to,
I mean,
though.
basically, what happens if somebody robs a store? They're going to get shot.
You'd hope so.
Right? I mean, they're going to
Yep.
get shot dead, and they're probably
Well,
going to
you-
get hung up outside the front of the store because there's going to be nobody to bring anybody to jail. And that's where people don't think these things through, right? I mean,
Right.
what are the consequences of what they're really asking for?
They're not. That's not a part of the mental processing when they put these things together.
Yeah, it's completely
at all.
emotional, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I don't
agree.
really think they think about that. But I personally don't think that they're going to want the results that they're going to get if they take all the police away, because the police serve a very valid function. Now we can have that conversation
Yes.
about whether or not the institution of the police needs to change in certain ways, and I think there are certainly some conversations to have there. But by and large, if you abolish the police, you're going to get a very different, very different
Right.
kind of society.
Well, I think you can't fault the entire police force, the entire law enforcement industry based on a couple of bad apples. I happen to be related to folks that are in law enforcement. They're not bad apples, but they're taking the rap for everybody who is one, and that's not fair. And so let's take it back to that. It's that teacher that got pulled over by a cop, by a Mexican cop. She's a black teacher. He's a Mexican cop. And she has hounded him and she's talked him down and she's told him how he wants to be white and he's a murderer. Do we get to judge the entire teaching industry based on that one person?
Right.
Or do we get to stop and say, that chick apparently has got some issues, is not okay in the head, has got some racist qualities to her. Perhaps
Well,
maybe
but-
that's just her. And we look at, because I'm a teacher, I teach. And I don't want to be judged by this woman.
Yeah,
at all.
but here's the thing, right? I mean, anytime you judge any person by a large group, you are by definition being,
When you judge by the group, it's prejudice. When you judge
it's-
by the
you're-
skin color, it's
right.
racist.
yeah, but still, racism is prejudice, right? I mean,
They're related. They can be related. They're not
well,
always.
I mean, I think this is two sides of the same coin, really. I mean, you can be prejudiced against anything. I mean, I could be
Right.
you drink wine, I could be prejudiced against wine
I'm
drinkers.
also tall. There are people who
right?
don't like tall
I
people.
could hate people that are tall, even though I'm actually
I was
tall
going to
too.
say that would be awfully
Do
self-hating.
you
don't
remember
think?
the Dave Chappelle skit, the black Ku Klux Klan guy? Oh, that was a funny skit.
Oh, I'm going to have to go
Yeah.
look at that
But
now.
anyhow, I mean, but that's the thing is you can be prejudiced against any group, right? And and it's not fair. So I mean, it's not fair to judge one person by
one.
Yeah, I mean, judge the whole group by the actions of
but-
one person because
yeah.
you're going to have bad apples in whatever group you can find.
Right.
You're going to have a bad apple there. So it's not.
Yes.
And you ultimately have to judge the group by the lowest common denominator, right? So
I hope not, because man, she was pretty flipping low.
I mean,
Oh.
yeah. So that's just totally not fair. I
No.
mean, you have to judge a person by their individuality, and so anyhow.
Well, I get there's some common attributes within the industry because that's how the industry works. That's how it operates. That's how it keeps moving along. But it's just the common core that's not.
Yeah, but
the
even
extent.
if the majority of the group acts a certain way, right?
Yeah.
You still cannot judge a person by the group they belong to because
No.
you do have extreme cases. I mean, look at you have extremist left political
Yeah.
ideology, you have extreme right political ideology,
Yeah.
and those are the ones that we hear about. But the majority of the world lives somewhere in the center of,
Yeah.
of those two ideologies, right?
No, I would agree with that.
If they're not independent. So I really have a hard time when we, because people really have a hard time distinguishing between, this whole, groupism, classism, whatever you want to call it, and really not judging people individually.
You
And
would, well, and
so,
especially for a group who says be yourself and be accepted for that
well,
self.
yeah, I mean, we've seen the tolerant left is the most intolerant group that's
I
out there,
still find
right?
that to be cute. The tolerant
The
left.
the intolerant left is
It's
more like
so
it.
that's so
So,
pretty. And for those my
yeah,
girlfriends understand what pretty means, it's not a good thing.
it's fantastic.
It's so
Yeah,
fantastic.
in engineering, we'll tell you what that means.
That one I know.
So anyhow, what's the next thing you got
Oh,
going here? It looks like
well,
you got some pipeline.
yeah, everybody's talking about the pipeline stuff. If you haven't heard about it, you're living under a rock. So we had some, it's not a hack. So people thinking this is a hacking thing, it kind of is a hack. Our infrastructure, our pipeline infrastructure, and this is the oil that is transferred up the southeast coastline. And so that system, it's ran by a computer system. It's underground oil that's being transferred from point A to point B. There's a lot of side trips in there to deliver oil, gas. So if you drive a car, this is important to you.
Right.
Well, that computer system was given malware. And when you take malware and you threaten somebody for ransom on it, it becomes ransomware.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you get when you date IT for years and years and years. You get an understanding of these things. And so our, I think it's the Colonial Pipeline
Right.
is on, it's under ransomware right now. So we've got some guys that have infiltrated the computer system and said, hey, you pay us in some Doji coins, which right now is huge, or Bitcoins, or whatever
Right.
whatever the
Yeah.
imaginary coin is online. We'll give you your system back. Well, the problem with that is there's a trust issue there. You have to trust that whoever took over your system will give it back to you once you pay them, not ask for more money.
And then change the passwords.
Exactly. Well, so the issue with this is that the FBI, the CIA will tell you don't negotiate. This is why we don't negotiate with terrorists, because it
Right. Because
requires
then
trust.
it just encourages them too, right?
Exactly.
So,
We'll give you what you want because this is important to us. So once you pay the ransom, this tells the people who have taken hostage, oh, this is important to you. How much can we get out of you now? Well, the U.S. does. We seem to have a lot of money, folks. We really don't. I mean, we're trillions of dollars in debt. We have a budget that we can't keep in the black, and yet somebody thought the dark side. So it sounds like a Jedi Star
Yeah.
Wars. What is that? Mandalorian, DeLorean,
Mhm.
whatever that thing is. It sounds like this is like real life now. And so they've taken over the system, they've locked it down, and our people are trying to get back into it to defeat them versus paying the ransomware. They're not saying how much the ransomware is worth, but people have panic bought gasoline.
Just like toilet paper, right?
Oh,
But
thank you.
but I mean, toilet paper you can leave in your basement, you can put in your garage. I mean,
Right.
storing a bunch of gasoline is a little bit
They're
dangerous.
taking plastic bags, Chris, to store it.
Well, that
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
they're
I mean
plastic
that's
bags.
the wrong way to store gasoline.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a disturbance in the engineer force right now with some of
Oh,
that
no,
stuff.
there's
So this is the big news thing right now, and a lot of people are blaming Biden for this because the computer program is not it's not protected enough because it was a clear shot in. It didn't take anything for this dark side people to infiltrate the system and take it hostage.
right.
And so now that's not to say there was no
Well,
actual
but
shortage. It
okay,
was
how is
just
that Biden's fault? Like he drives what the passwords are at this private company's.
well,
Come
unfortunately,
on.
he kept talking about how he was going to change the infrastructure of things and make them
Well,
more
yeah.
technologically
I mean,
savvy. Well, you just go out and you basically kind of open yourself up to vulnerability to your enemies who say, "Hey, wait a second, let's see how up to date you really are."
yeah,
So you go
I'm
poking
not
around.
buying that. I mean, I
That's
think
what people are saying.
the hack could have happened no matter what. I mean,
Maybe.
the real reality is a lot of these infrastructure things that we have are driven by old computers, right?
Well, but you got
I
to keep
mean,
those updated because that's our infrastructure.
yeah, I mean,
And this is
I mean,
they're claiming this is a Russian driven thing too, so that just kind of adds to the
yeah, is it Russian or Chinese? I mean,
Oh, they're
you know,
saying Russia.
yeah,
Dark side's claiming it right now,
right.
but I love the people who are. Those are my favorite kind of enemies. They're like, "Hey, we did that." It's like, I'm like, prove it. Give me
Right.
some.
Yeah.
Where's your signature at on that one, buddy? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time blaming Biden for this one. I mean, I think him shutting down that pipeline was dumb. But I can't say that that's related to this. And,
No, it's what they're
I mean,
saying with that with the Keystone Pipeline is we didn't because of this we didn't have another way to feed gasoline or feed fuel, feed the oil into this part of the country. But quite honestly, we weren't integrated into there yet. We
Yeah,
hadn't made
I
it
mean,
that far.
they were still building it,
And
so
so it's hard.
yeah.
I think the only thing you can hold Biden accountable for is to verbalize the fact that we needed to look into the infrastructure and probably update it or make it better, because he's talking
Well,
about millions
but
of
ultimately, this
dollars.
pipeline's owned by a private company, right? It's not owned by the U.S. government.
I don't know. It could be subsidized by the
But
U.S. government, which makes it U.S.
well, but even if it's subsidized by the I mean, ultimately there's some entity that runs this pipeline, whether it's private or government.
Yeah, that
And the
I have
problem
to
is
look.
that they haven't spent the money that they need to spend on upgrading their computer
Well, if the U.S.
systems.
is subsidizing it, does the U.S. have to guarantee the loan, or do they have to guarantee the funds?
Who
Or
cares? I mean, at the end of the day, whoever's running this thing had the responsibility to keep their computers secure, and they
right, I
failed to
agree.
do so. And it's
Right.
that entity's fault.
Well,
I
who are
mean,
you? We need to look at that. Who's in charge of that?
well, I mean, but really, who does it really matter? I mean, at the
Well,
end of the
no,
day, even if it's the government's in charge of it, ultimately, there's probably a civilian contractor that's running the
you
computers,
would think
right?
so.
So,
Probably.
I mean, come on, this is child play. I mean, change your passwords.
Change your.
Like
It's
have
Microsoft says
encryption.
to change your password. It's been 6 months.
Stop running Windows like NT, right? Like freaking pay for an upgrade.
Stop running
You
Windows.
know, no, I'm serious. I mean,
I know, but it's funny because it's funny because it's
I mean,
true. Update,
it's
update.
well, there was a water plant that got hacked into, and they tried to change some of the chemicals that were in the water to try and poison the water.
Oh,
And then when they came out and said, well, the water plant was being run on a really old computer, right? And so, I mean, when I mean really old, I mean like not
DOS.
like that kind of old, right?
It's
So
DOS.
I mean,
That's
come on,
awesome.
put the money in your plan to upgrade stuff every 3 to
Yeah.
5 years, and stop stealing from that part of the budget, and just upgrade your shit and
Well, you would
spend your
think
money on
though,
IT, and it's just part of life now. Just come to grips with the fact that you're gonna have to spend money on technology every couple of years
right?
because it's gonna go obsolete. Just do it. Just do it. Just stop screwing with the budget and spend your money and be done with it and change your passwords. Okay? Change
Wise
your
words
passwords,
from
people.
Chris Batchelor.
Change
Government,
your
listen.
passwords. That's all I gotta say. Yeah.
You have your directives. Do it.
Change your passwords. Okay. All right. What's the next thing you got
I
here?
don't know. You'll have to bring it up.
You got here, kitty, kitty.
Oh,
Here, kitty, kitty.
so we are in the Wichita metro area for our non-regional, non-local listeners. And so if you're familiar with Wichita, we're out in the middle of nowhere, but we're a big town out in the middle of nowhere. We have our metro system, several suburbs. So to see a mountain lion, a cougar, it would be pretty impressive. And there have been rumors for years that there's been mountain lions here and there, and nobody's really believed them until recently when a lady caught a mountain lion in her alley. Like her Ring doorbell or her camera, her home-based camera system caught the feline
Right.
going for a stroll in the alley. So it's a cougar turned alley cat,
Right.
right?
So it says the cat was up there for 5 days and was stuck 60 feet up in the tree.
That's what it says. I have a
That's
hard time believing it's stuck.
yeah.
I believe it's hungry and maybe being a predator. I'm trying to look for food.
Can you imagine climbing up a tree and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get Fido," this or not Fido?
Well, they
this,
said
this,
the house cat. There was a domestic
this,
cat that got
this
close
cute,
enough to it to
cute
give it
little
scale.
house cat that's scared, and you get up there and it's a freaking mountain lion.
Well, did you see how it told you to scare if you come in contact, like if you're a city slicker and you come into contact with a cougar, what are you supposed to do? Hold something up so you look bigger than the cat, or make a loud noise to scare it. It's
wait. We got to calibrate here. I thought you were supposed to buy the cougar a glass of wine.
well, that would be for me if you're 20.
Okay.
But,
Hot
sorry,
tip for the
sorry,
young
Bo. Wait,
young
Bo, I
one.
didn't mean
Yeah,
that, Bo.
yeah,
Hold
yeah.
on.
So if you're 20 to 25,
I need
take
you at
some
least,
notes.
Actually, you have to be 21 at least to get the
21,
liquor.
okay.
But Bo, that's not true. I love you. I am so sorry. That's not what I meant. I know he doesn't listen, but just in case somebody else tells him, I'm totally joking.
Oh my gosh.
Do not ruin my relationship. I just did.
All right, so maybe that's another show: how to pick up a cougar in 5 easy steps. Or
I
something.
have the women for that show. Let me
All
just
right,
tell you.
we'll bring them on.
They're right. We're not quite cougars. We're not quite old enough. We're at the panther stage.
So you're pumas, isn't it?
Puma, panther,
Pumas,
yeah.
panther. Is it? What's the next one up?
That's the cougar would be the next one up, but the next one down is puma panther.
Puma panther.
After that, I think you're just an old kitty cat. I don't know.
I can't say what I'm thinking here.
Yes, well, you could.
I probably
but
could. We're not regulated, I guess.
I was
so
gonna say we're not regulated
we'll just
yet.
have to mark it explicit. That's all.
There you go.
All right, so let us know in the comments. What are you? Are you a
Yay.
puma or a cougar or whatever you are?
Puma, if yeah, there's in the age
Or
range,
just a
30
grumpy
to.
old. You can be like me and just be a grumpy old dude. So
I told you I got a chick for you.
I got grumpy old dude syndrome. All right, next up here on the
Next
list.
up.
Here, Kitty
What-
Kitty is gone. We have gone down that rabbit
A
hole.
legend that can't be canceled. I am not. Chrissy Teigen is not one of my favorite people. I don't have a whole lot to do with her. I just.
Which
her
one
per-
is Chrissy Teigen? Is she?
She's the one on the left in the
Okay.
screen. So she's the darker skin. The other one I think is. The other one is Courtney Stodden, and they prefer pronouns they them. They're non-binary, I believe. And so there has been some sort. I saw this with
Oh,
Candace
she's sorry
Owens.
for being a bully.
Yeah, Chrissy Teigen is. She told this.
See that? She's sorry for
she
being a
says
bully.
she is.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, but she
I'm sorry.
so Twitter. She goes to Twitter, and there's been an ongoing battle between these two.
Okay.
And it turns out in the end, Chrissy Teigen tells Courtney Stodden to go take a dirt nap, and by that,
Whoa.
because there's been some talk about suicide.
Yeah.
And so
That's not
Chrissy
cool.
Teigen encourages the suicide by saying, "I can't wait till you kill yourself. I can't wait till you're dead.
Okay, so
take your dirt
wait. So she's still on Twitter.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Right?
What the fuck? I mean,
Right?
sorry.
Yep. There's that. We're not regulated,
beep.
so
What in the actual f? So she actually
that's
told
not what you meant to say.
she actually told somebody else to go kill herself, and she's still on Twitter.
Yeah, because she's a legend.
She's still on Twitter.
She's
but
married to John Legend.
but Donald Trump is off of Twitter.
Yes.
But he never physically told anybody to go kill themselves.
Well, they're saying he instigated the January 6th
Right.
takeover of Capitol.
Yeah.
Because he said to peacefully and patriotically protest.
Right.
Just
And
by-
that's the same exact thing as telling somebody to go kill themselves.
Right. Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got that. I see where this is now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, she's a woman of color, I think. I don't know. She looks like a woman of color. I'm not familiar with this chick. I know I don't like her cooking. I don't like any of her. I'm just not a fan of this chick. But I saw this because Candace Owens did a Instagram video, and I was on there, and I happened to see it, and I was like, she did what? And so this is how I found out about this, is Candace Owens did a video saying this woman, Chrissy Teigen, is a terrible human being because she told Courtney Stodden to go kill herself. And so since then, Chrissy Teigen I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I was a terrible person then. I'm ashamed of who I was. So she did the typical backtrack,
Culpa, yeah.
Holly woke backtracking.
The Holly woke. I like that.
She's now she's doing the
Yeah.
Holly woke step, right? Because now we're backstepping and trying to
The
cover our ass.
the Holly woke two-step.
Yes, exactly. And so Courtney Stodden has not replied to that to the last time I saw the story. But I thought, how
What would you
jacked up
reply
is
to it?
that?
I mean, what would you say to something like that?
I'd pull a Caitlyn Jenner. You know what? I'm bigger than that. I'm bigger than you. I found more value in my life than you did. You take the high road like Caitlyn Jenner did when Joy Behar misgendered her. Because even
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner's like, even my mom misgenders me, so whatever. I
Right,
know who I
right.
am. I don't need you. That's the thing about Caitlyn Jenner. She doesn't need you to know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's not the social standard. Everybody in society wants you to approve of them, which is not how it works. I need to unfold my soapbox in the words of my basically mother-in-law. Let me
Put it
unfold
away,
my soapbox and put it away.
Yeah.
But I really want to hop on it for this one. But she's on Twitter. Chrissy Teigen's still on Twitter. She's not been canceled because she said, I'm sorry. And that makes it better.
Okay, I'm sorry, but if I was the gal that was being bullied here, I would be suing Twitter.
But that's
Right?
let's
I mean,
get
I
into
would
the
be
law.
filing a lawsuit against Twitter.
230 says that they're not. Remember the law 230 or section 230?
Yeah, they can't claim that anymore because now they've banned Trump. So I think they've actually opened themselves up to liability on this
You would
stuff.
think
and
so,
I
but they
think,
haven't been. Nobody has done it
Well,
because of
somebody
230.
will.
That's why, in fact, that's what Ben Shapiro was talking
Yeah,
about. Is that
230
230 is
invalid.
dangerous
No,
for this reason.
I mean, 230 is invalid right now.
You would think so.
Because now they've basically said that they can regulate, right? So they're no longer a platform; they're a publisher, right?
Right? You would think so.
So now they're responsible for all the content that's on their platform, including the people telling the people to go kill themselves.
Yep.
So
You would
yeah.
think so, but if you're a legend, quote unquote, pun intended, you're not going to get canceled.
Yeah,
You're
I
okay as
think
long
we
as you
should
say you're
cancel her.
sorry. I'd cancel her in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That's
Canceled.
suicide. If Courtney Stodden did kill herself because Teigen told her so, that puts Teigen in jail.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't though. That's the
It
thing.
should.
It should.
She
but
should
it
be.
wouldn't.
an accomplice to murder at that point, because that's what
Yeah.
oh, what's that Dr. Death? Who is that?
Yeah, I know who you're
He
talking
was in
about.
jail for helping people commit suicide. And those were
Right.
really participants who wanted it,
Yeah.
wanted a humane way to go out.
Well,
This is not to bring up a suicide debate, but
yeah.
they've tried to punish him.
Well,
But Tegan isn't being not even assault, which is a
so
verbal thing.
what I think is interesting here is because the internet is like worldwide, right?
Right.
I mean, technically, I think if like the Kansas Attorney General decided that he wanted to file, charges against her, he probably could because you can access that information in Kansas, right? Even though neither party was actually in Kansas, I
Ooh,
think you could
okay.
make a case that you were actually broadcasting in Kansas, and
She's
that
an
way
influencer, so yeah.
you're culpable to Kansas law.
That was the word
right?
used, was culpable.
I
Yep.
think you could be culpable in every state and every country, right? So I
Yep.
think this becomes very, very interesting very quickly, to where I think if the right person, got offended to it. I mean, because you can't call somebody up and tell them to go kill themselves. It's
assault.
That's assault.
That's
So it would be
assault.
interesting to see if somebody had the actual balls to go and file an assault charge against her,
Man,
and actually take her to court that way. Because
call us up if you do, because I will happily follow.
yeah,
that
I would
story.
love to have that conversation with some attorneys
Oh.
and see what the limitations are there.
I would
Because
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to have to start happening for some of these people to realize that there's consequences
It's
for
going
your
to take
words,
a lawsuit
right?
to do it, Chris. You're
I
right.
mean-
It to stop
Well,
this
but
cancel
more than a
culture
lawsuit,
BS.
I mean, it's going to. Some people are going to have to go to jail. There's going to have to be some accountability in our
Okay for me.
society, right?
But if you ask Kaepernick, we need to get rid of the prisons and jails. So
well, yeah, I mean, but he lives in a fictitious world anyhow. I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure he wrote his unicorn in today too.
yeah, I mean, he doesn't deal with reality.
No,
so.
clearly
But
not.
you know what is in reality?
Patreon.
What is in reality is Patreon, and you can support the show by going to our any of our shows at bizandmayhem.com and go to the bottom of the show notes, and you'll see a little button there to join and support the podcast. So our first level is the intern level for only $3 per month. And that includes our Discord benefits where you can talk to us all week long. And you can also show your love for the show. Now, if you join as the manager level, we'll actually give you a feed where you can watch us record the show live. So you'll be the first ones to see the show. And we're also going to organize meet and greets once we have a following there. And then you also get the Discord benefits. And then if you're really feeling spunky, you can go for the executive level, which is $100 a month, which really is just the cost of a couple lunches a month, right?
Right.
So in that, we'll have a one-on-one call with you. You'll also get access to the meet and greets, and we would really appreciate your support because, man, we love doing this show, but all this stuff that we use to produce the podcast and the hosting and all that kind of stuff, it all costs money. So right now it's coming out of our pocket. And we're sure would love to bring you some more content. To do that, we need the monies. So if you could help us out with the monies, that would be great.
That'd
and
be so great.
we're not asking for a ton of monies, but whatever you can throw us our way, it would be fantastic.
It'd be outstanding.
It would be
So good.
wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome. That's all great.
All right.
Oh, we
Well,
ready for our next one?
I don't know. Do we
This is so
convince
great.
anybody? You think anybody's gonna step
I'm
up
gonna
to the plate here?
I
don't
fear.
know.
I mean, don't make me strip. That would be so sad. Don't
They
make me
did
do
have
it.
that naked news thing for a
They,
while, right?
I remembered that, and I
All
mean,
right.
I'll wear something suggestive. I don't know.
All right, with that, we're going to go to the workout. Play the workout. It's time to work that career and lift and push and lift and push. You got it. Now harder. Lift and push. It's the career workout. Well, we have a really, really interesting topic here for the
Yeah.
career workout this time. And we've been posting these questions on your Facebook page. And to me, it's always been interesting to see sort of what's been going on there. But bring us around here. Tell us what we're talking about, Tara.
So Starbucks has been talking about leaving Facebook because of the negative comments. Starbucks presents a very liberal leftist political view. So when Derek Chauvin was convicted, Facebook, oh my gosh, Starbucks went to their social media platform, mostly Facebook, and posted about their support for BLM and their support for Derek Chauvin's conviction, their support for anti-racism movements and things of that nature? Well, because it's a political type of statement, they got the opposing. I cannot talk tonight. Holy crow.
Have you had too much
I
wine?
know. I don't know what my problem is yet. They of course, when you present one view, the opposing view is going to come
Sure.
at you. Well, I think Starbucks may have underestimated just how much balance they were going to get. They cannot control the comments coming in. They can't keep up with them. And because they've made multiple posts, they've gotten hundreds of thousands of comments, and there's just no way for them to keep up with those. So they're talking about, hey, everybody's so negative, we're just going to hop off Facebook. And of course, everybody's like, see ya. Have fun.
No,
Don't care.
Nobody's saying, "Oh no,
We're
please
not,
don't go.
We're not buying your
Please
coffee
stay."
anyway.
Yeah.
And so, and I like my Starbucks. I do have my Starbucks tea, and I do partake, only because I like my local baristas. They are my high school students that I love to see, that I've watched growing up. I'm not a big fan of the political platform that Starbucks embraces, because mostly I don't want to know, because I don't want to stop buying their stuff. I want their goods and
So
services.
you're just like,
And so it's
just
like,
give me my coffee. I
I
just
don't
want my
want to know.
coffee.
Just stop telling me what you're talking about. Well, and part of that is too is because if I'm sporting that Starbucks cup and they've recently gone out on a leftist, rant, I don't
Right.
want people thinking, oh, she buys Starbucks. She must be a
Well,
leftist.
now you
She
become
must be-"
identified with their
Right.
politics, right?
And so I want to be very careful.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows me knows my political stance. What's funny is if you think you know me, but you really don't, you also think I'm a feminist, which is a whole other show we should probably do. But
That's a couple of shows
That's
right there.
Right. I'm okay with that. So I posted the question on my Facebook page, because we've got some really great minds on my Facebook page. You guys are awesome to come through like you do. I had to know if should companies offer their political stance to their consumer base, to their market, and whatever your answer is, why or why not? And man, we got some. I mean, the overall thing was no. Don't tell me because you're not a person. You shouldn't have a political view. Or yeah, do tell me, because then I know that way if I want to spend my money with you, because of the affiliation factor. I don't want to be known I don't want to be known for what you are, what you're supporting. So
Right.
if you're, if like somebody doesn't want to support the BLM, but they are law enforcement, they don't want to support a company that supports BLM. They want to support the companies that support the law enforcement, right?
Well, and I think it's fair to point out that all these topics are so polarizing, right? And
Very much
and they're
so.
not polarizing necessarily for the obvious reasons why
Right.
they're polarizing,
Right.
right? I think, for BLM, people aren't saying, well, no, Black Lives don't matter. They're just saying that, hey, that's not the right way to talk about
Right.
it.
There's another way. Right. So
There's
it's not a
another way.
racist view at all. And
Right.
that's what ticks people off is
But-
it's in a society of we're all included, we all belong, there's a space for everybody. We're still singling out and divisive when it comes to certain things. Like there's certain colleges and universities that are having Asian only or Black only
Well,
ceremonies.
but that's racist, right? I
You would
mean,
think
that's
so,
going
but-
back to, the
Yes.
1940s, the 1930s.
Well, even the
That's
1950s and 60s.
I mean, that's actually regressing.
Yes,
It's
but people
totally
are saying they
regressing.
need. But that's what's funny is it's a double standard. We don't want to be separate, but we need our own thing.
Right.
Without you white folk
but-
in there, or without you
yeah, I
folk or
mean,
this folk.
And I've said this a couple of times. It always goes back to the inverse test, right?
Right.
Can you inverse something and then still say that, yeah, that's okay,
Right.
And
Right.
I think in the case of having, Black only events, you can't inverse it and say, well, it's okay to have white only events.
Exactly.
Right,
And
because
you
that
shouldn't.
that would be racist, right? But
Right.
having somehow in our society we've come to accept that having a Black only event is not racist. It is totally racist.
Well, and I think if I was just at my second son graduated high school. He's in a very large 6A school. I believe it is the largest, if not the second largest, in the state of Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And as I watched and listened to every name and every person walk across that stage, I didn't realize how diverse Derby really is.
Right.
It is super diverse. Like there was all kinds of kids, all kinds of individuals graduating. So I think it comes to question, are we only seeing what we see because we surrounded ourselves with ourselves?
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, we would take a while to unpack that, right?
Right.
But let's go back to this
Right.
whole original
Retrack.
topic, which is, should companies be social justice warriors, right? I think that's the big question
Right.
here.
Well,
And I always like Rick Jensen's comments on your stuff because he's got a
yes.
fantastic one.
We're going to get Rick on the show one of these days.
Rick
We're going to
needs,
pull
yeah,
him
Rick,
on here.
you're coming on the show.
You're awesome,
but,
Rick. We love you.
You know, he says only if they want to drive away potential customers.
Yes.
And that hits the nail on the head. I mean,
Perfect.
you know, I think some companies, you know, but let's rewind the tape here a little bit, right? Like, this all started 20 or 30 years ago with, like, let's protect the environment, right? That's the first that I can remember
Yeah.
companies being like, we use recycled paper, you know, and
Right.
we're saving the turtles. Like, you know, remember where they changed the design of the
Yeah.
rings that go on the soda bottles?
Yes.
So that the turtles didn't, I mean, I think all that stuff's got a positive impact, right? But
Sure.
but the thing is that consumers don't want to hear that 24/7, right? They maybe
Right.
want to hear that you're making a positive impact, right? But they're not buying your product simply because you're a social justice warrior.
No,
Right.
but and that's part of the thing too. If you scroll down and find Sherry Smith's comment, and she made a really outstanding comment on there about how she read something somewhere about a rating system that was presented to corporations out there, which really seems to push this whole agenda. And she's right. It's called corporate social responsibility. This was something I studied very heavily in college because of my background and what I was studying. And it is entirely true. These corporations, large companies out there, are expected to meet a social responsibility spectrum.
Right.
And that is, how diverse is your organization? So how many different cultures do you have? How many different races do you have? How many different representations of all of the communities of practice out there? In addition to that, what does your carbon footprint look like? How much damage are you doing to our environment and the ozone layer? And so this has culminated into a big thing. And our employer partakes in this, and we do have our own, it's called a corporate social responsibility report. And we present that report to the powers that be, and then they rate us based on that, and then they compare us to everybody else out there in the world. You're not compared to like companies, you're compared to everybody.
Right.
It's one big scale.
But here's the problem that I have with that, right? I'm in engineering. Engineering is a male-dominated field. It has
Right.
been for a long time. But let's be, you know, but it's not male-dominated because, I mean, it used to be, and I've heard stories of where it was hard for a woman to get in engineering, but those are well in the past.
Right.
But the current status of today is, if you're a woman and you want to be an engineer, you're going to find more opportunities than you can handle. You will get more job offers than you know what to do with.
Yep.
You will likely be able to go to school for engineering for free because there are more scholarship opportunities trying to encourage women to get into the STEM fields, right?
Right.
And I think all that's great. I mean, if you want to be an engineer and you're a woman, come on down, because you're going to get free education. You're going to get tons of job offers,
Right.
okay? But all that said, we still don't have a ton of women in engineering.
I'll tell you why.
Why?
I will tell you why. As when I was working for a university not too long ago as an academic advisor, the women that came in there to do another male-dominated field is cybersecurity, computers.
Right, yep.
Very male-dominated. We were out seeking women on purpose because we knew as a university we did not have enough women, and we needed we needed that personality. We needed that point of view to help mold this program into super success. We couldn't do it with one community of practice alone. So we went out seeking women. Do you know what women were afraid of when we would sit down with them? The biggest thing they were afraid of was numbers, the math. Because when you do, even in cybersecurity, calculus and I can't remember the other one, and Dr. Ike will kill me for not remembering it right now, but there's a lot of math incorporated into cybersecurity in order to create the environment to produce what you need to
Sure,
produce.
it's a numbers game.
It is
so.
a numbers game.
yeah.
And women are scared. There's a lot of women who are scared to
Well,
death
but
of that.
and I
They're
think that goes back into our primary education, where, you know, math needs to be taught better and differently, and
That's
I mean,
what-
this is a whole nother rabbit hole we can go down. But but my whole point here is, you know, obviously I don't think we're being sexist against women in engineering.
Oh, no, I've seen engineering. We're not.
Women are just not showing up.
No.
And so when you say we've got this social responsibility report that we're supposed to have X number of women versus X number of men,
Yeah.
who comes up with those metrics? I mean, who decides that that's the right ratio? I mean, you know, to me, you should let these things fall out naturally, right? I mean,
Right.
if 10% of want to show up and they're women, then that's fine. If it's 20, if it's 30, if it's
Well,
50, great.
so flip
I
the
mean,
coin on that one. Why aren't more men staying home with their kids?
well, and but that trend has been changing. I do a lot of work with shared parenting,
Yeah.
and we're seeing a lot more dads that are engaged with with their children, and particularly in cases of divorce, we're seeing more cases of shared parenting where the parents share the children
Well,
equal
but
time.
in
So I mean
any,
that narrative is totally changing, but
it
but
should.
there's a huge bias against men in the family court system because there's
Yeah.
still this whole like 1970s thing that the mom's a nurturer and all this kind of stuff. Even though there is a ton of
Hmm.
research to show that men and women are essentially equal in the
Oh,
caretaking provision, right?
I can tell
So
you.
I mean,
Yep.
but that's a whole nother rabbit hole
Rabbit
to go
hole.
down.
We have
But
so many rabbit
we're
holes to
trying to avoid
present.
the potholes so that we're not 3 hours long tonight. But
Right.
I mean, but to me, the whole thing is who decides these numbers, right? Who decides what's socially responsible and what isn't? I mean, if you can't get women to show up and come into engineering, then really you're not going to do anybody any justice by discriminating against the men,
Right.
right? To
We
bring
know.
up your numbers, to bring up to a false number that somebody picked out of thin air and has no basis at all on any sort of research.
Well, I don't think we're looking at the bigger picture after the NBA threw a big old fit. The NBA and the WNBA threw a big ass fit over who gets paid more. First of all, men bring in more money in the NBA because they're more fun to
Yep.
watch. Have you seen men's basketball versus women's basketball? I'll take a men's game over the women's
Well, I
game
mean,
because it's
the
more
men,
entertaining.
men bring in more seats.
They're
I mean,
more
they fill more seats,
they're more
right?
entertaining.
Yeah.
They're willing to take the risks. They're willing to take the shots. They're willing to make the moves that are make it a show, right? So, but if you look at the numbers like construction, did you know there's more women working in construction than there are men?
I did not know that. I would
And
not have guessed that
right?
at all.
I was shocked. They're
Yeah.
paid higher too.
Right.
There's more women in construction than men and they're paid higher. We're not looking at the bigger flipping picture. We're focusing on what feeds the narrative. And so women don't want to be in computers because it's boring to us. We don't want to be in engineering because it's boring to us. We want to be in something that's we're
to-
around kids. We want to be around people.
To be totally honest, that's a fair point. Okay.
it's
If you want to be in engineering, learn PowerPoint and Excel. Done deal.
I know.
Forget calculus. You're wasting your time. Anyhow, let's steer this boat back to this whole corporate or social responsibility thing, right?
Let's stay on
Because
track.
we are way off course here.
So-
but so overall, the comments that we saw was that hey, companies should just stick to selling products and services
Yeah.
and stay out of the social justice stuff.
Well,
And-
take accountability. If you're going to take that political stance, do so knowing you're going to lose people in it, and you invite the louder voices, not the higher number of voices.
Right.
It's not about the quantity, but the quality of the voice that comes at you, and be prepared to say no. Or
Well-
you end up like companies like Starbucks, where they're promoting something that most of the country does not agree with.
Well, but here's what I wonder too. Agree or disagree? I think that's a side issue, right? I think the bigger problem is that so many companies have jumped on this social bandwagon
Oh,
that
yeah.
people are they're just burnt out from it. I mean, they're
Yeah.
just tired of seeing it everywhere they turn.
Yep.
And really, they just want to go in and they want to buy their stuff and leave
Yeah.
and not have to worry about feeling guilted about some sort of
It's
social
shifting.
issue, right?
Yeah,
So
it's shifting, though.
I think the big, if you're corporate, if you work for a corporation and you're in marketing, like it sounds like people are saying, tone down the social justice stuff.
Yep.
And I think it doesn't mean that you have to stop doing social,
Right.
uh, social advocacy work. Do that too. Just don't guilt your customers about it, right?
Or your employees.
Or your
'cause if-
employees.
That's one
Well,
thing.
so that's another point I was going to make, right? So you have all these companies that are out here on the high social justice horse, right?
Right.
But I wonder if you were to go ask the rank and file employees at those companies how those companies are treating those employees, what answer would you get? Would you get oh yeah, this is a fantastic place to work for, or is it, oh yeah, we get like half of our bonus every year, and
you know what? Let
we
me
have to work 80 hours a week, and
Let me go start with the Starbucks baristas in my hometown.
Well,
Let me start with them. 'Cause
so
I guarantee
to be
you
clear,
they
fair,
do
I don't really
not.
want you to answer that, right? But
No, I'm just
but
saying.
but that's the thing is, I think if you're going to be a social justice company, if you're going to be a social justice warrior, you need to start with your employees. You need to take care of them. You need to make sure they have
Right.
the best health care they can have. They have the best benefits they can have. They have the most
Yes.
time off
Make
that you
them
can
want
give
to
them.
work there.
You need to provide an environment that is safe and good and healthy for them first. then you can go off and do all this social justice
Yep.
warrior stuff, because I guarantee you that most of these big companies out there are not happy and fun to work for.
Nope.
And because I know some people in some of them, and they're not all like rainbows and unicorns, right? So
No.
I think it's a pot calling the kettle black in some instances here,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I mean,
There is one company, Fox News reported on it. I wish I could remember the name of it, but um, they're not encouraging. Not going to say they're not asking employees not to, but they are not encouraging political talk
well,
at
I
work.
mean, we reported on it last time. There were some companies that said, "Hey, we're just not a social justice company.
Right.
Like, deal with it.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We do
We're
this other thing,
come here, work,
right?"
and go home. But,
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's completely fair too. But I think this is just a case of the pendulum swinging too far in one direction. We're probably going to see it, probably go too far the other direction,
Hurry
and
up
then
and swing.
and then it'll come back in the middle, right?
Hurry up and
Uh, but
swing.
but yeah, I think it's a good conversation to have. Is really what if you're a company, then your primary goal in life is to make coffee. Now, what I saw about Starbucks was the CEO of Starbucks said, well, the whole premise of Starbucks, because it's a third place between work and home, right? It's a place
Right.
where you can socialize, converse, have thoughtful conversations.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I mean, it does make sense for Starbucks to start driving some of those conversations. I think that does
To
make a lot.
drive them, not
But
present a
well,
political platform.
yeah. So I think there's a fine line there, right? I think
Right.
I think Starbucks should be starting the conversation, giving food for thought. Hey, what do you think about this? But really, what they're doing is they're driving one side of an issue,
Right.
and that's the problem, is that they're not presenting both sides of the issue, or they're not starting the conversation. They're saying, if you're not on our side, we're going to make you feel bad, and
Right.
that's not what people want. People don't want to feel bad about going and getting a $7 coffee, right,
Well,
with 800
exactly.
calories in it.
Right.
you know,
I mean, I do black coffee or tea, so not.
well,
But to your point, when you in pushing the Chauvin case, obviously, I think as a country we're all on the same side as how that Chauvin thing went down.
Well,
what
but
should
we're
have
not
happened.
though. I mean, I think there's
Well,
a lot of split there. I mean, I don't think anybody's on the side that said that George Floyd should have died. I don't think anybody's really said that.
yeah, no,
But I think there's been a lot of controversy as far as and we've talked about it here. I mean, obviously what happened was wrong,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
But I think the question is the reform happening that needs to happen,
Well,
right? And was it one bad apple, or is this a systemic issue? I
and
mean,
we're gonna see that take a whole other
you know,
different turn with that one juror
right.
coming out wearing the BLM shirt now.
Yeah,
That's gonna
that's gonna drag this thing on even more,
talk
and
about a hard right.
and then the other thing too is, I mean, like we talked about before. I mean, what happened to George Floyd in his life that society let him down so far that he got to the low point that he was in his life, and that's really the conversation that we need to be having. Is not so much, I mean, of course, police killing people bad. Right? Nobody's going to argue that.
But
But the
yes.
bigger picture here is, why are people in our societies, in our modern day age, with all of the resources that we have, why are people getting to those lows? And why,
Well, that's
why is somebody getting, why is there 3 cops over a $20 bill? I mean,
No.
I mean, the city was spending more than $20 to deal with a $20 issue. Right.
That's a good
so, I mean, just the salary of the cops,
yeah.
for 3 people for 2 hours is way more than $20, people.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
So I think the bigger conversation we need to have is around how do we treat the members of our society, which are, maybe not real high functioning, and what opportunities can we give those people so that they don't end up,
Well, I mean,
getting themselves in trouble like this.
I've known a few family members, my family, other people's family, what have you, that have chosen the drugs type lifestyle, have chosen a criminal lifestyle. It's addictive.
Yeah,
Once
no,
you get in,
totally
it's
get
hard
that.
to get out.
But here's the thing:
they have to want it, to
right?
get
But
out.
we have totally reduced the amount of mental hospitals we have. We've totally reduced the amount of money we spend on mental health care.
Well, that's because there was a leftist agenda too, though, is to get rid of those places because they're not okay to have, so to speak. And I disagree. Those are great places to have because they focus on something. But we'll have to get into that rabbit hole another time because we again got way off subject.
We are way
So
off
do
topic.
as you want as a
So,
business. Just
yeah.
accept the repercussions.
But tell us what you think in the comments.
Yes.
We really would love to hear what you think about this because, you know, I mean, we're just up here telling you our opinions, but really, it's it's you who needs to tell us what you think,
Yeah.
and you know,
we
again,
can revisit this conversation.
have
That would be great.
have the conversation. That's what we're saying.
Yes.
Have the conversation. We're not telling you what to think. We're just asking you to have a conversation and maybe
think what you want.
Think just a little bit differently.
But think.
But think.
but
think. And
think
change your
McFly.
passwords, people. Change your passwords, okay? And if you didn't watch our news segment, you won't make any sense to you. But
Rewind.
make sure you change your passwords. And for crying out loud, keep your computers up to date.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's going to lead us into our obsession for sure.
Let's go into the obsession of the week. It's the obsession of the week. All right, so for the obsession of the week. Obsession of the week. What
need to find that
what
song
do you have?
from the 80s.
What do you have this week?
First?
Because,
I already went first. Oh, that's not
because I need to do the computer thingies. And
yeah.
I need you to talk.
So my obsession this week is very simple. It's Fox News. I was a big, I've been a huge ABC fan for years and years and years. Cake News was the local news company I was into. And I just did not find any enjoyment out of any part of channel, whatever the heck it is here locally. So I hopped onto Fox News. And so I'm just not a TV person. This is more of my white noise. It's something I play in the background like we all do. And I have just grown to really enjoy the personalities. And that's what I really watch the news for, is the personalities, especially when they are careful with their opinions and they don't force something upon you. They tell you to, like Tucker Carlson says, think for yourself. I'll present the information to you. I want to be truth driven. So I want to present you the truth that I have found. And he also recognizes it's going to change, and I know it's going to change, but here it is. And so I really appreciate what they're trying to do on Fox News. I don't agree with everything they put out there. It's because I don't agree with all the news that's out there and all the decisions people make. But I can see a genuine desire to bring forth whatever is actually happening in the moment, and they try to keep you updated as much as possible. And and they don't just have one person report on the story. It's the whole day is designed around the stories. And so you can, no matter what time of day you catch up on it, you catch that story. And I really appreciate the format they have on that one. And so I've really grown attached to the Fox News personalities people. Tucker Carlson is one of my favorites. I don't know why. If you haven't seen Greg Gutfeld, you need to watch him.
Yeah, I've watched him before.
I can't stand. He's like, I miss Kid Craddock in the morning. It was one of my favorite morning shows because I had a love-hate relationship with Kid Craddock. Anybody who knows him, that's how. One day you love Kid, and the next day you're like, oh my God, Kid, shut up. And Greg Gutfeld.
It was kind of like a gentler version of Trump.
Yes, yes. But you had to have him because he was speaking the truth.
Right.
He said what people needed to say out loud. And Greg Gutfeld does the same thing on a very morbid note most times.
Right.
But I do enjoy him. I've had to get used to his cast of characters that he brings on there. But I've just really, thanks to Bo, he's a big Fox News fan, and he got me turned on to it. Once in a while, I'll get worried because Bo will have CNN. I'm like, what's happening? Isn't that fake news? What's happening here?
Are you pushing your right-wing agenda on this show?
And he does. He's like, I just
dare you?
Right, and he's like, I just do this so I can have a reminder of why I don't listen to it. I'm like, oh, I get that. So kudos to you, Bo, that you did this to me.
He doesn't listen to the show, right? I mean, you've said that before.
No, he doesn't.
So we can talk about him all we want.
I still don't use his real name because he's goofy. In fact, he had one of my girlfriends take down a picture of him on Facebook. I shouldn't laugh at him. This would be the one time he hears his stupid show and then he says something to me about it. But yeah, he was in the background of a Facebook photo, was not tagged, and he said something to me, and I was like, I don't know what to tell you because my girlfriend doesn't see Facebook the same way you do. So he texted her. He's like, take it down. She's like, oh, okay.
Take it down now.
Remove it. I'm not.
There's like two guys in black suits at the door. Ma'am, can you please remove that off your social media?
He's got the little flasher thingy-majigger. Yeah. But he is that, he is that, as he puts it, I do not wish to contribute to Facebook. It's like, we know. But his mother and I do, and I think he just gets so irritated with both of us when we get on there. We're like, oh my God, did you hear what happened on Facebook? He's like, oh God, shut up. So thanks, Bo. You turned me on to Fox News. You guys can all thank him because I'm just like attached to it. It's mine. It drives my kids nuts. They're like, really? One channel? We have like 2,000 and you pick one.
Well, they
Yes.
can watch whatever they want to.
There's
I've
4
seen them.
TVs.
They are
There's
capable of changing the
There's
channel.
5 TVs in the house. I
Yeah.
mean, there's one even in my bed. Now, when I'm in my tub on Sunday nights, I do have a guilty pleasure of 2.5 Men. That's what I watch in there. That's my thing. But because it follows Golden Girls, and if anybody knows me, I have an affinity for Golden Girls. I love it. So I watch that on Sundays, but otherwise it's Fox News.
Yeah, that was Charlie Sheen before Charlie Sheen was canceled.
Winning before he was
Before
canceling was a
Wasn't it
thing.
like Tiger Blood or something like that? They got him finally.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Remember, there was like some drink that he came up with, and that was after that nobody wanted anything to do with him.
I know I can't remember the name of it, but he has all kinds. You should see him. He looks so old. Looks just like his dad, but man, he's aged hard. You got something interesting. What have you got?
I do here. So last time I had the smoker, so I got my smoker. Well, I've rounded out my patio collection here with a Blackstone 1984 original 36-inch front shelf, side shelf, magnetic strip, heavy duty, flat top, griddle grill station for kitchen, camping, outdoor tailgating, black.
Did you get all that, guys? Because Chris is at it again. He found the longest flipping title on
these
Amazon.
Are all,
do you
are
search
all,
for this stuff?
No,
on
these
purpose?
are all search engine based. They're they make them super long, so they come up in the
God.
searches. But no, so this is like the new thing. Instead of getting a regular barbecue grill, you get this thing that's called a griddle, and it's just like you see them in a restaurant. They'll have this big flat griddle, or if you go to the hibachi restaurants, you know, they have the big flat griddle.
Oh,
same
good.
exact thing. So with this thing, you can do you can do fried rice on your patio. You can cook breakfast with it. You can cook hamburgers or steaks. I mean, it's really
like a stove
versatile.
outside.
Yeah, it's basically a stove. In fact, since I put this thing in outside, I mean, I really haven't cooked inside at all. I mean, on the stove, it's been all out there. So
that's awesome.
And you season it just like cast iron, so it doesn't stick. You basically cook a bunch of grease on it.
Yeah.
So it becomes nonstick. And then once it becomes nonstick, it's really easy to take care of, and and super super versatile.
I'm in the market for a new. I burned up my grill last year. We're not
definitely
gonna
have
talk about
to
how.
get one of these.
So maybe because I'd love to grill when the weather's warm for my kids, but I like to grill everything. So if this can do it, then
and you know what? I've actually done vegetables on this too, because I'm getting on this new like health kick thing. So I'm doing the keto thing, so I got to eat my meats and my vegetables.
Yep.
But anyhow, I did asparagus on it for Mother's Day, and they have a thing that looks like an upside down salad bowl that you put on top of it, and you squirt some water on the vegetables and put this cover on it, and then the vegetables will steam underneath the cover, so it's really versatile, super easy to clean, and highly recommended. I wouldn't recommend buying it off of Amazon. It's a little more expensive because the thing is pretty heavy, so they have to pay for shipping. But you can go get these at your local big box stores, and they pretty much are everywhere. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. If you do get the 4-burner version, it will burn through a propane bottle pretty quickly. So what I do is mine's actually hooked up to the gas line in the house, so I never have to deal with propane, so I don't really care. But actually, it's a really pretty big surface area to cook on, so usually you only need 2 burners. So I'll leave one side off and one side on. And then what's really nice is if you have food that's really done cooking, you can go throw it over to the other side and either leave the burner on low or leave the burners off, and it'll still stay pretty warm, So, yeah, highly recommend it. It's been a ton of fun, and definitely going to be a staple in my house for a long time to come.
I think I may have to look into that. That sounds awesome. So sweet.
It is definitely
Delicious.
Fun.
There's brunch in my future, and you're going to make it.
Oh, okay. So I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that. We will make lunch for a whole bunches of people.
That works.
Well, you ready to get us out of here?
Yeah, we should probably call it.
We should probably call it. I don't have a thingy, though, for calling it. So you're just going to have to wing it.
I'm going to wing it?
Yep.
We can try it. So thank you guys for watching Biz and Mayhem, our podcast. We love having you guys. Oh my gosh, I am jacking this up so bad. I'm not as good as you are. You can go get our show notes from bizandmayhem.com. Look for season 2, episode 31. Oh my gosh. See, I suck at this.
No, you're doing great. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yep.
Do not forget to support us financially, because we need your help, because this is not a free show. We love doing it for you guys. We want to be here for you. So check out our Patreon account. I think you can go to bizandmayhem.com to check that out. Remember, there's 3 different tiers to sign up for. We'd love to have you participate with us and give us ideas and be a part of that, because we can't do this without you guys. If you have any ideas for the show, you can also email us bizandmayhem.com@gmail. No, my gosh. See, I'm screwing up. I'm so used to having my script. I'm so reliant upon
Change your
it.
passwords.
bizandmayhem@gmail.com. And until next time, have fun in the mayhem. We'll see you later, guys.
We'll see you later. Have fun in the mayhem. The Biz and Mayhem podcast is produced by Check 6 Creative Studio. If you have a podcast or been wanting to start one, let us know. We'd love to help you produce and edit your podcast. We'd also love to work with your business on marketing and video production. Visit us on the web at check6studio.com. That's CheckSixStudio.com. Let us know you heard about us on the Biz and Mayhem podcast.